Welcome to the Hockey Writers Chicks and Sticks, a weekly show hosted by some of our best female hockey writers, bringing you the latest news, rumors, trades, player grades, game results, and much more. From talking hockey with NHL personalities to tackling the latest big issues, our team covers everything hockey and more. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some Chicks and Sticks.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 32 of Chicks and Sticks, brought to you by the Hockey Writers. My name is Melissa Boyd, and I'm once again joined by my partners in crime, Christy Flannery, who's back after a week away, Hannah Garfield, and Mariah Stark. How are we doing tonight, ladies?
Wonderful.
Alive, yeah. Yeah, I'm readjusting my sleep schedule because, you know, the Olympics have started, so I'm not really sure. I don't really know what time it is or what day it is.
You made it.
My schedule is
counts.
That's it. My schedule is goes by Olympic sports for the next 2 weeks, so we'll see how I do. Speaking of the Olympics, I just want to remind you all. I know I mentioned this last week, but our extensive coverage of both the men's and women's hockey tournaments in Beijing have kicked into high gear over the last few days. We've got lots of content rolling out every day, covering both tournaments. The women's event started last night with a couple of games, a couple of unfortunate injuries, but the tournament's still going to be awesome. And make sure you're checking out thehockeywriters.com to read all the great content that our writers are pushing out for that. Actually, Mariah, Christy, and I are going to be covering the women's event, and the men's also has an extensive team covering all the countries. So make sure you're checking us out for that. So without further ado, it's been another busy week. Even though the NHL is officially all-star pause, there's still lots going on, including the All-Star weekend in Las Vegas. So we'll start with our traditional team updates going into the break. So we're at the halfway point, and we'll see how everybody's teams are doing. Kind of how are things in Boston?
You know, I think Boston needed this upcoming pause. I think, you know, they had such a great January for the most part, and then the last week have kind of faltered a little bit. They barely pulled out a win against Seattle on Monday. I forget what day that was. The week's blurring together at this point. And they also lost a really bad game against Dallas on Sunday. So I think this pause is a needed pause. I think guys need to get healthy. You know, Marchand was injured and somehow hasn't missed the game. Charlie McAvoy had a lingering injury that kept them out of the game earlier in January. So I think, you know, having some days off to get some rest will be good for the team, and they can reset again and be ready to go.
Yeah, for sure. I know Boston's been playing a ton of games lately to catch up. So yeah, I'm sure the break will do them some good. Christy, the Devils didn't go into the break on the best of notes, did they?
No, things are not good in New Jersey. Yeah, it's kind of a mess. They had two really bad games against the Toronto Maple Leafs. The last game before their break, the fans were booing them off the ice every period, every power play. Things are not good in New Jersey right now. So hopefully we get the break, regroup, and, you know, they could do something with whatever's left of the season.
Well, don't worry. I think they play the Canadiens off their first game out of the break. So
it's Ottawa and Montreal. So
there you go. You'll be fine. You'll get back into the win column in no time.
Oh, the boys need it. You can just tell they're not happy.
Mariah, things are going much better in Minnesota, I hear.
I just love don't worry, they're playing my team next. Yeah, the Wild are doing really well. I don't really have any complaints. Last night they beat Chicago 5-0. They were without Dumba and Foligno, who have been essential to the lineup, and thankfully it didn't bother them really at all. Their goaltending has stepped up huge. Talbot came back from his injury looking better than even before he did. And Fiala is tied for the franchise leading 12-game point streak. So if he gets a point when they come back, he will be the new franchise record holder. So
that's fun.
Cool.
That'll be interesting.
Good for Fiala. He's really
Yeah,
grown
right.
in Minnesota. What a
Well,
good situation.
The beginning half of the season, everyone, including myself, was like, okay, he needs to either step up now or they need to get rid of him. And as soon as Boldy came into the lineup, it was like they clicked, and it's been scoring ever since. So
Very underrated player, I find, around the league. Montreal, well, it's All-Star weekend. And Nick Suzuki is going to be in the accuracy shooting skills competition. So that'll be fun. He'll be on the Bellagio water fountain, that fun new event they just announced. So that's very exciting. That's about all the exciting things happening from a Montreal perspective. No, well, exciting if you like to watch train wrecks. So the big news out of Montreal this week is that it looks like Jeff Petrie is open to a trade out of Montreal for multiple reasons. His family has been back in their home in Michigan since Christmas. They didn't come back to Montreal after the break, which is obviously hard on him, like understandable. And his play on the ice has suffered mightily this season. He is like a shadow of his former self. So it's just been sort of an accumulation of things, and it looks like unfortunately he is on his way out. So now, of course, the speculation is when and what kind of trade could be made. So we'll see if it gets done before the deadline or if it's something that's done in the off season. But again, as I say, the most exciting stuff is happening off the ice. And yeah, we're excited to be hosting New Jersey for the first time this season out of the break. Unfortunately, still no fans in the Bell Center, but it's fun. Now I think we've all played each other.
Yeah.
I will be, so that's good.
At least there's no fans to boo either of our teams. Apparently that's the theme. So there is.
That's true. Yeah, that is a positive for sure. Yeah.
They can get like the automated cheering, so that'll be good for morale.
Yeah.
Christy, they might throw some booze in there just to make it feel real.
Make it feel like home. Make it feel like they're playing a home game.
I figure I think the Bell Center staff's going to start doing that. I mean, really, it's got to be realistic. No, let's get to more fun and exciting topics. The Olympics have started. The women's, as I said, the women's event has started. The men's event starts shortly. All the teams have been named. There's some, even though there's no NHL players, there are some intriguing names that I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with, that are former NHL players now playing in other leagues. So it is going to be a fun tournament. I think better than better than 2018 Pyeongchang. I think there's more names this time around, so it should be fun, but also unpredictable, I think, for sure. So to start, I guess, what are some of the things you're looking forward to about the tournament? Either men or women, or men and women, if you like. What are you going to be following? What are you looking forward to watching? Christine, we'll start with you.
Just all of it. I like the Winter Olympics. I actually love the Winter Olympics, but I'm not like as committed that I know the schedule and like what events are happening when and where. I would be more into it if the NHL players were there, because I feel like that's just like the best of the best. But yeah, like I'm excited. Besides hockey, I'm excited for Shaun White to see kind of what he does with his last run. But yeah, I want to just catch as many games as I can. There's really, like, I'm excited, but not overly committed like some other people on the podcast.
Well, okay, I won't say I'm like super committed to the men's hockey, but certain sports, yes. But
yeah,
if the men's hockey is on, I'll watch it for sure. Mariah, how about you?
I kind of follow along with Christy. I mean, the time change, honestly, for me is going to be the biggest problem and make it really hard. But I'm excited because the men's team has, I think, 5 Minnesotans I heard from, and actually one is from Delano. That's about 20 minutes from me. So it's pretty cool that there's people that close locally playing. I'm excited to see that it's going to be a bunch of college age kids. I love the pros, don't get me wrong, but it's got the whole 1980 feel. Not quite as dramatic, obviously, but you know, the kids get to play, and just excited for that, and also getting to see Eric Stahl play again is exciting for me because I'm a Stahl fan. So
I was waiting for someone to say it.
I was going to, but I figured Mariah was gonna say. Yeah, it's pretty cool. When I saw he was named captain for Canada, I was like, yeah, okay. There's a reason to watch. There you go. Hannah, how about you?
Yeah, I think the US made a good decision going with more college age kids this time around. I think it does make the team a little bit more exciting. I know they had a few in 2018, but I'm pretty sure they have more in this year. So that'll be fun to watch. But really what I'm interested in, not just, kind of at this tournament, but the more far reaching part is, seeing last Olympics, we had, it was in Korea. So we had a team from Korea. This year it's in China. We have a team from China, and we don't really see many hockey players coming out of Asian countries. So it'd be interesting, see how they do. There's really no expectations for like a team from China. And see if this does end up long-term generating more interest in hockey, because I think at the end of the day, we all love hockey and we want to see the sport grow. And I think these past two Olympics are a really great opportunity to grow the sport in countries where really it's not very popular.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know how well they're going to do on the ice, like playing, but they are definitely dressed for success. I don't know if you guys saw the goalie pads.
The dragons.
Yeah, like,
oh.
Like, well, this is officially my favorite thing about the Olympics and those are some pretty sick goalie pads. If you haven't seen them out, I think it's on IHF Hockey Twitter. The pictures are great. So, and what do you think I know it's hard to predict because the teams are kind of, it's hard to sort of say who's better, who's, but do you think it's going to be the usual suspects fighting for the podium? So Canada, US, the ROC, Russian Olympic Committee, Sweden, Finland, or is this an opportunity for a real sort of dark horse to come in and get a spot on the podium? Mariah, what do you think?
I think, of course, the top three, like Canada, US, Russia, are going to all be fighting for it, but I'm going to go, I don't know if Finland can really be considered a dark horse or not, but I'm pretty sure Mikko Koivu is involved with their team, so I feel like they're going to be stronger than people think, so I'm going to go with that. I don't really, as far as medal placing, I don't know.
Well, Finland is definitely the team that nobody wants to face. Like, if you're Canada or the US, it's like, no, I don't face them. They're so hard to play against. They play such a team game, so they're actually, to me, they're actually the dark horse favorites to win because their players have probably been playing together longer than most of the other teams. Mm-hmm. So, Hannah, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Canada, US, Russia are always going to be in the mix, but I mean, I think we saw in 2018 with Germany, ending up on the podium that this format without NHL players does open it up for teams to, if you can get playing as a good cohesive unit, you're going to go far in this tournament. Mm-hmm. I'd be interested in a team like the Czech Republic, because I think they've quietly, really grown as a hockey country in recent years, and I think it'll be interesting to see how they do in this tournament.
Agreed. Czech Republic is also one of those deceptively good teams. Mm-hmm. Christy, how about you?
This is so un-American for me to say, but I always just, you can't not expect Canada to do something in the Olympics. Like, I just feel like there's, like, you just kind of have to go there. But I love a good dark horse story and a good underdog story. So I'll take any of those teams that people kind of count out. I think those are always the best stories. But yeah, Canada's always there for me as the team that's going to play somewhere.
Thank you. As the only Canadian on this panel, I say
you're welcome. I got to support the people up there.
It always feels like there's some goaltender too that we don't know if we've never heard of, who just stands on their head and you're like, what? Like, I like the women's Finnish goaltender, even the one last night who is not their usual number one goalie. she was like amazing against the US. Like the Finland only lost 5-2, I believe, and it could have been a lot worse. But it's like there's always those goaltending performance where the goalie gets like 54 saves, and you're like, what? Like that's so crazy.
And goaltending really makes a difference in these tournaments. Like
Yes.
more, I think more than, a normal season. Like in a tournament, if you have
Absolutely.
a hot goalie, you're gonna go far.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, just a reminder, I said it off the top of the show, make sure you're checking out thehockeywriter.com and all of our social channels. We got some stuff on TikTok as well, on YouTube. Right, Christy? Yes.
We're trying.
We will.
Just stay on track. It'll be good.
For the Olympics, all 2 weeks of the Olympics. So make sure you're following us and visiting the website. So going to keep with the Olympics theme, but we're going to get a little bit more personal, I guess. So I wanted to know, what is your favorite Olympic memory, either winter or summer? And also tell me what your favorite winter sport is and your favorite summer sport. Hannah, we'll start with you.
To no surprise to the three of them, my favorite sport at the Winter Olympics is figure skating. I love figure skating. I follow it so close. Like I follow it too closely. I really I love. It's been really fun because this is like the first full Olympic cycle that I've been with, because I watched the 2018 Olympics and I was like, wow, I really love this sport. Like I always watch it in the Olympics, but what's going on when it's not the Olympics? So I started following it really more closely. So it's been really cool to go. I know all the storylines that are coming into this year Olympics, so it's going to make it really, really interesting and fun to watch. And my favorite Winter Olympics memory is from watching figure skating in 2014 when I was in Sochi, because it ended up aligning with I was on break from school that week, and I remember me and my best friend, she was home alone and couldn't find it on her TV, so I FaceTime her on my phone and I had it sitting on the couch next to me, and that's how we watched them. We literally watched 3 hours of Olympic figure skating with her on my phone, watching through FaceTime on the TV.
That's a good memory.
Yeah,
that's the best stories.
Yeah.
This was we were 16, 17, I don't know. She didn't have a car at the time, so she couldn't drive up and come to my house, but so we FaceTime.
You made it work.
Yeah.
And I should know for these types of things now to leave Hannah for last, so she can
yeah, because nobody can top her.
Send us out on a high. Christy, how about you?
Oh God. For the Winter Olympics, obviously hockey's number one. I do enjoy snowboarding, skiing, and all the other athletic things that I can't do. I just find it fascinating that people actually have those talents and abilities. I don't watch the Summer Olympics, so I have zero input on the Summer Olympics. And my favorite memory of the Olympics is me I watch Miracle, the movie, every February on the actual day of the Miracle on Ice. So I always get sad that I was not alive during that moment of history. So that's my memory. My memory is sadness, and I wasn't born in 1980.
No, but that's a very good tradition. That's a great tradition.
My husband would disagree.
If you were born in 1980, though, you would be 42 now. Would you want to be 42 right now?
Yeah, exactly. So
I mean, if I look the way I look now, then why not? Feel a bit older, more wiser. I'll be good. I'd sacrifice to scream out Jack O'Callahan and Dave Silk. I would sacrifice.
Mariah, I know. See, I'm sorry, you have to follow that, Mariah. What are your favorite memories and sports?
So for winter, obviously hockey, but apart from that, snowboarding and curling. And I've actually done curling at my uncle's house. They made a rink. We had a rink in the backyard every Christmas, and we switched from hockey to curling one year, and it was really, really fun, especially when there's drinking involved. Summer is, I think it's a Olympic sport, but BMX. I'm super into the X Games stuff, and I love just seeing that. I I don't know why, but I just do. As far as memories, I have 2, and technically it would be 3, but like Christy, I wasn't alive in 1980 as much as I would have loved to see that in person.
Sadness.
Yeah, it's depressing. But my other 2 are 2014 when Oshie did the shootout. And then I have my years right this time.
Mhm.
Good one.
2010 for Vancouver, the gold medal game. I was at my high school for watching a drumline competition, and everyone had gathered out in the cafeteria where the TV was to watch that game. And I still remember it. So that's my memory.
Those are good
Okay.
ones too.
We all have
My-
good ones.
My memories from 2010 is going to be happier than yours. So.
I was a Crosby fan too, okay? So it didn't hurt me nearly as much as everybody else.
Yeah. Well, I'll start with my memory is obviously, well, the entire 2010 Olympics, just because they were in Vancouver. It was amazing. Like the entire country was like Olympics. Like nobody worked during those 2. It doesn't matter if you were at the Olympics or not. It was like nobody was paying any attention to anything other than that. And it's all anybody talked about. So it was really cool to have that like in your home country. And yeah, obviously there was a lot of amazing moments from those games. Like Canadian athletes performed really well, but obviously the golden goal by Crosby is number 1. Like I still remember where I was, what I was doing when it happened. It's one of those things that you don't forget. And my favorite winter sport is curling also. Love curling. If you're not into it, really, it's the best sport. I don't know why. There's just something about it that's great. Summer, also, I love the mogul skiing. I think that's really fun. Canada also has the best mogul skier in the world, so that might be why. And Michael Kingsbury. And in summer, my favorite sport is beach volleyball. So great sport, I find. I don't know.
I never said my favorite summer sport is the track and field events. I love I love a good track meet.
Yeah, like the 100-meter sprint, like it's kind of one of those,
I love the mile.
It's the market. Like no, I like the long one.
I like so my whole family's like my parents are marathoners. Like I did distance when I did track and cross country. So all my friends did like distance. So I'm like, I love the distance events.
Interesting. I don't know about you girls too. Me, it's like, I always find a sport that I never really paid attention to before. And I start watching it. And within 20 minutes, I'm like, I'm an expert. That's wrong. That's not right. Those scores are wrong. What the heck? And then I'm like, what do you mean? I only started watching the sport like right now, and I'm mad.
I feel like everybody does that with the Olympics. I feel like that's one of the beauties of the Olympics is that it makes everybody like pay attention to these obscure sports that you like. You're always like, why didn't I get into that when I was younger? At least that's how I feel.
Yeah.
My biggest disappointment in life is that I'm not an Olympian and I would never be an Olympian. And I think about that daily. Like I wake up in the morning and I'm like, why am I not an Olympian? And I'm always like, why didn't I get into some obscure sport? Like, why did I get into speed skating? Like,
well, my question is kind of on that, but it's like, how did they get in? Like, how do you wake up in the morning and think, I'm going to be, I don't know, like a weightlifter, like
I'm going to curl for a living.
Yeah.
It's amazing to me. It's like, wow, I didn't, and they're athletes from like all these countries around the world. And you're like, okay, well, I guess, pretty cool. All right. So back to NHL hockey. We have to get some NHL hockey in, even though it's All-Star weekend. It is at the halfway point. And last week, Christy wasn't here, unfortunately, but we talked about our favorites for the Hart Trophy at the halfway point. This week, I wanted to see what you girls think about the Norris Trophy. So the best defenseman in the NHL so far this season through the midway point. Christy, we'll start with you since you weren't here last week.
I hate this award. I despise this award because it's for a defenseman, but yet it's the offensive defenseman that win it. So it drives me up a wall. I don't agree ever with this award. With that being said, I'm going to take my 2 minutes and just do a rant. Before I give my person, I will do a shout out because I looked up blocked shots. Connor Murphy, 116 in 43 games. Braden McNabb, 115 blocks, 46 games. Like those are my kind of defensemen. And they will never be a nominee for the Norris. But I had to shout them out. Well, I guess like the popular names, I'll go with Slavin.
Yes.
It annoys me.
Under protest, it sounds like.
Yeah. I get so annoyed because it's not
attitude.
Like, but I know my jersey's coming out, isn't it?
But Slavin's not even like a super offensive defenseman. Like I feel like he should have been. He should have been like he doesn't
Agreed.
He's underrated.
Yeah,
like because he's not flashy.
Yeah, like I understand, like you want your defensemen to like take the shot and like get an assist, but I just feel like every year it goes to just the defenseman who has the most points, and I just don't. I don't think that shows what kind. Like they can be great on offense, but they can be a complete liability on defense, and it's an award for a defenseman. So with that, I'll go with Jacob Slavin.
It is a great choice, and I hope that the Void voters are listening because don't forget about Jacob. Don't sleep on Jacob Slavin, okay?
No.
Mariah, who's your pick? Halfway through.
So I'm along with Christy. I was trying to look up someone who had both a lot of blocked shots and points, and there was the top 10. Neither one of them like matched up, and I was just like, I thought this was a defensive award. Why are you?
I also looked up who has the most time on ice as well to put that into consideration too. And
I didn't look that up, but
it's Thomas Shabbat. Is that what you say? Yeah. So shout out to him too.
Yeah, that guy plays so much.
Monster minutes.
Yeah, it's insane.
So I tried to do like middle ground, and I went with Pietrangelo because he has some points, but not a ton, and he has 98 blocked shots. So
that's a good choice.
I'm going.
That is a good choice.
Him. And I love watching him play. So
yeah, I like him too.
Agreed. Hannah, your choice.
I was saying either Slavin or Charlie McAvoy because I agree. I think that the offense overshadows this award, which is really disappointing because I don't think offense is the only part of being a good goaltender. But I think in recent seasons, that's all people care about. And I think, someone like similar to the Hart Trophy, I think this does come down to like, how important are you to your team? And how important to you, like how much of a difference maker are you? Charlie McAvoy is the difference maker for the Bruins. And I wrote an article about how he needs to be in consideration and he should be a finalist this year. But he should have been a finalist last year, but he's never had the same offensive game, which is why he's always kind of on the outside looking in because he doesn't score the same amount. And I think that really belittles how important of a defenseman he is to the Bruins and really how much he brings to the ice and what he does. And I think way too much focus is put. Yeah. The conclusion of this section is too much focus is put on offense for a defensive award.
Yeah. And then everyone's the first ones to complain when they don't have like a stay-at-home defenseman. But the ones that are making the most money are like the Victor Hedmans, the Dougie Hamiltons, the ones that have an offensive upside.
Well, I was going to say, I think it also has to do with like the way the game is played today and the fact that puck moving defensemen, as we call them, are so in demand and so needed. So I think that's why it lends itself to that. And and I mean, people are like flabbergasted when they hear of like defensemen like Ben Sherrod or Josh Manson that are probably going to be traded for first round picks, and they're like, what do you mean they only have 8 points? And I'm like, yeah, but like
it's what they do without the puck.
They're hard to play against. You don't want to meet them in the defensive zone. Well, my choice is I use the same sort of logic as Hannah, and the player who's valuable to his team. And for me, it's Roman Josi. With the Predators. To me, like if you think about what is the identity of the Predators, what type of team are they, and I think he embodies it perfectly. It's not a coincidence that he's their captain as well. And I think he's a good mix of both offense and defense. And to me, he's again, even though I know everybody knows he's really, really good, I feel like he's also a little bit underappreciated.
Because I think Nashville's underappreciated.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
Yeah.
UC Saros is so good, and he does not get the recognition that he deserves. Like he should have been a Hart finalist last year, just from his like the way he did the second half of the season. Like they only made the playoffs last year because of UC Saros.
Agreed, for sure. And even like I was looking at them this year, like they're doing really well, and no one's talking about them.
Nope. John Hines
in the West, like no one is talking about them.
No.
And like Matt Duchene is, back to his old self, and that contract's not looking so bad anymore. And so shout out to the Preds.
Yep.
And a friend of our show, Sarah, who works for the Preds as well. So I'm sure she's having a ton of fun this season with them. So on that note, that's unfortunately all of the time we have for this week. We'll wrap this up so we can get back to our Olympic watching. And just a reminder again, if you haven't checked out our Olympic coverage, do so because it's really extensive. There's everything you want to know about the Olympics, Olympic hockey events. It's there. And be sure to check it all out. Every day we've got some content coming out. We'll have takeaways from all the games, previews for the medal games, and features on different players that will be playing. So if you're checking out thehockeywriters.com. And on that note, we'll see you next week.